this computer. It's kind of a little bit aggressive now. What up, fam? Dude, I love the way people look when they first come onto this. Have you guys ever look at Calvin's face right now when he just came on? You know? Dude, what's up? Chris, can you see Calvin on there? That's funny, dude.
I can see him.
Sometimes when people come on, their face looks really like weird. Like it's like this, especially. Guys, do we have fun in this business or what? Come on, right? All right. So I'm gonna get started. Hey, Michael, how you doing, brother? Good. So, guys, I hope you guys are all having a great week. We are finishing out the month, and it's good. I was on the phone today with a lot of people. Lisa and I have an awesome letter that I'll be honest with you, my whole day tomorrow, I'm meeting with a social media guy. I'm getting some pictures taken in the morning, professional pictures tomorrow to have on my other Facebook page, which is kind of cool. Chris was showing me some things, but Calvin's been showing me how to do it, and I haven't even boosted it yet, and I have like 67 new people, and I'm like, I didn't even know who these people are, and I'm just like, yes, these are more people, and then he's teaching me how to do a video today, so I'm going to work on that tomorrow, and I'm going to teach you guys that as this goes through. I'm not spending all this money to keep it to myself. I think, it's funny, we were talking about being introverted and extroverted today, and I found an old article from my theology school, and this weekend I had the privilege of my pastor was on vacation, and I had the privilege of preaching this Sunday, and it was awesome. It was a great experience. I'll just tell you this. I said this to my stepmother. I said, doing what I'm doing now has allowed me to have an even better perspective when you're up there in front of people. And I know my special guest is really nervous about next week. She's shaking her head no, but I know she is, because Kai Hayes has been texting me all day today saying, it's kind of funny, two of my best friends in this business are speaking at Elite Academy, and both of them are wanting prayer because I know they're nervous. And Julie's shaking her head that she's not nervous, but she's nervous. I know it. So I'm gonna start this off. I'm gonna let my friend Julie go. I did hit record. Hold on one second. I'm just gonna tell you. I'm not gonna tell you everything about her because I'm gonna let her do that. But I put this together today. I'm really creative, Julie. Just so you know, Millersville. I saw that you went to school there, and here's a picture of me and Julie, and she looks good, but I'm kind of looking off into the crowd and doing something. I think this is where she introduced me as Mike Huey instead of Mike Huey because she doesn't pronounce her H's, and I know her daughter has been on this. There's a picture. She just had the privilege of spending a week with her mother, which, by the way, you look like your mother, by the way. Just thought I'd let you know that. So here's the Penn State fan, Jerry, down here, her husband. And Julie and I have been friends in this business for a long time. You see she's a mom, a grandmother. She's an awesome entrepreneur. She's got great kids. She's a grandmother. She's a wife. And I would say she's my good friend. And so I asked her to come on tonight because I just had the privilege of being up there a week and a half ago, to spend some time with her and teach their first Super Saturday. And I just think her story is awesome. I think that there's going to be we usually have about 30 or 40 and sometimes 50 people on here tonight. And usually it's kind of the end of the month and it's getting close to vacation. And I'm excited because I had about 15 people text me today and say, will you make sure you record this? And I'm like, I always record it. So I promise you I'll make sure I record it because I think people need to hear our stories more. One of the things that I think was the biggest success at the Super, and Cheryl sat back down there. So, is that we allowed people to get up in front of we allowed people to get in groups and tell their story. And some people were really uncomfortable with that, like telling a stranger their story. But in this business, we've learned that telling your story is you should be constant. If you're not telling your story 15 times a month, you're missing out, and you got to tell your story. And I learned that from the delay I had when I was in Chicago on the way home from being with Julie and Cheryl and others, is that I told my story to 5 people and got 5 business cards. Wherever it goes, you know, it goes. I told you guys a story. There's a little quick story now. Before I let Julie start, I'll tell this quick story. I sat beside this girl. Her and her fiance were studying, and one was working on their PhD in law, and the other was in biochemistry, and they were studying. He was studying to be oxidative stress, which was even like, I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, we can't find anything that significantly reduces oxidative stress. Like, there's just nothing out there. And I said, well, and I just, I just kind of played devil's advocate. I was like, okay, what are you finding? And he said, about 10 to 15% max. Like, he said, sometimes maybe 25%, maybe 6 months or a year later. I'm like, really? And he said, yeah. He goes, somebody needs to like discover something that like helps with oxidative stress. I'm like, well, what if I told you I know something that reduces it by 40% in 30 days? And he said, that's not possible. And I said, yes, it is. And so whatever happens from it, all as I know is Cheryl and I talked about it today. We're just creating awareness, because guys, people don't know, right? They do not know. And when it's the most researched topic, it lets you even farther know in the future that we asked this, 3 people asked me this today. How far do you think we are from people understanding this? 3 to 5 years. And my chiropractor told me 5 years ago it would be 10 years. So 3 to 5 years. It's that much of a wave. So I'm going to let my friend Julie White now share her story and just kind of transfer. You know what our number one thing that we do as elite distributors is we transfer. And when we transfer belief, we get to impact people's lives so that they know why we're doing this. And so my good friend Julie White, take it away, my friend.
Hey, Michael. Thank you so much for inviting me on here tonight. And it's just such an honor, really, to be able to share on your call, because you've helped me so much. And you're such a servant leader. When you were here recently, I got so much positive feedback. Some people were saying, this is the best training I've ever had. So thanks again for coming here and helping us out, the Crossline team. And what kind of servant leadership is that? You're setting a great example, Michael, and we can't tell you enough just how much we appreciate your leadership in LifeVantage. And so you've asked me to share my story tonight, and gee, that's an easy thing for me to do because, like you said, we share it all the time. So basically what happened with me is 6.5 years ago, I have a friend, Jackie Shepard, and she lives in Kansas City, Missouri. And some of you probably have heard Jackie or met her at some of the events. She's pretty incredible. I had never met her in person. My son actually had gone to a program called Youth with a Mission, and she was one of the educators there. And she took him under her wing, and he had some special needs and all. And so we developed a relationship over the phone. The really interesting thing about Jackie was that so many times when I called her, somebody else would answer the phone and say, I'm sorry, she's been sick for like 2 weeks. And so when I actually met her in person, because she's in her early 70s, I was shocked because she has so much energy. Pro Tandem has just really transformed her health. And so when she called me and had me watch the time investigative report, I was really excited because, I had never seen anything like this. And when I heard how it was impacting people's health, I was even more excited. So I honestly was all in immediately. But my husband is different than I am. He's very much a critical thinker, and he's been a science, chemistry, biology teacher for many years. And so when I went to him, he was like, honey, you've got to be kidding. I am not interested in another supplement. And he he had a mental image of our cupboard. I have a picture of it that he took, but anyway, in our cupboard, he counted over 40 different supplements, because I've been passionate about health and nutrition for most of my life. And so we've taken a lot of different things over the years. And he said, honestly, he goes, if you want to get involved, fine. But he said, you know what? He said, I've never even seen a natural supplement that has any peer-reviewed science to back it up. He said, I've seen supplements that, you know, have like an ingredient that might have some science on it, but never, you know, the branded name. So I went back to Jackie and I said, you know, Jackie, do you know, does this have any peer-reviewed science? And she said, there's 6 peer reviews. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. So I went back to my husband and I said, this has 6 peer reviews. And he's like, really? He said, so he went to PubMed.gov, typed in Protandim, looked at those 6 peer reviews, and honestly, he was in shock at what he saw. He came back to me and he said, I'm going to stop taking, you know, a lot of those other supplements, and I'm going to be taking this instead, because this actually has proof that it works. And he said, I've studied this kind of thing for years and hoping that something like this would come out in my lifetime. So we immediately bought a package. We got, at that time we had the Vantage Pack, so we got a package, and I was like, wow, this is like really something special, because this kind of thing just does not happen, you know, with my husband just jumping into something like this. And so we got started right away, and honestly, Jackie and her son and her son-in-law and daughter, Krista Mark Harris, they're the ones that helped me get started in my business. And none of us had done network marketing before, and it was so different then. We didn't have like all these tools and everything that we have now, but we did have the 3-way call. And so that's how we started. The first thing that happened is I saw that Jackie was going around to different states doing presentations. So I asked her if she was going to come to Pennsylvania. And she was like, well, can you get 15 to 20 people in your living room? And I said, yeah, I can, I'll do that. And so we picked a date and she came. And honestly, I did have 15 to 20 people in my living room, because believe me, if somebody was coming all the way from Kansas City to Pennsylvania, I better have some people there. So it was, I really think it was a God thing. Everybody that came to that meeting either became a distributor or a customer. And so it was a phenomenal start to my business. And then she went home and I was like, okay, now what do I do? The only thing I knew to do is, you know, copy what my leaders were doing, what she and Krista and Mark were doing. So I observed that, you know, they were having weekly meetings. So I started having weekly meetings, and that's basically how I got most of my distributors, was through those weekly meetings. And, you know, and then we did a lot of 3-way calls. I can remember spending hours on the phone, even when I was on vacation in Florida. We were spending quite a bit of time on the phone doing 3-way calls. And so that's how I got my business started. And at the time, I was working at a physical therapy facility. I was an exercise technician there. Loved my job because it was rewarding seeing people, you know, come in pain and going out pain-free. And I basically got paid for socializing and exercising. So it was a job that I really did enjoy, and I plan to continue to do. But, you know, I never got paid what I thought I was worth there. And then in 2008, when the economy went south, you know, we stopped getting any raises at all. So, you know, my pay really plateaued out at that point. And then it came to summertime, and my husband being a teacher and, you know, the kids having the summer off from school, I thought, you know, it'd be really cool if I could have the summer off. So I asked my boss if I could have the summer off. She gave me the summer off. And by that time, I was earning more money doing LifeVantage than I was at that job. And so after having the summer off and having that time freedom, I just could not go back, even though I liked my job. I loved doing LifeVantage a lot more. And then I was able to do it full time. And So, it's just been a real privilege. It's been one of the most rewarding and fulfilling things that I've ever done. You know, just seeing all the people whose lives you can touch, and their health improving, and financial and time freedom. It's just been amazing. And then our LifeVantage family is just so wonderful. You meet people like Michael Huey, and anyway, it's just been really, really special. I thank the Lord for this opportunity every day. Just have a grateful heart. Michael, do you want me to share?
Yeah, well, why don't you just do this? Because I'm gonna get you. I'm just gonna make you be uncomfortable for a little bit. All right. Here's what I want you to do. I want you because I like Jerry ratted Julie out when I was there. Like, I thought Julie was like in her 50s. Like, she's this 50-year-old mother, and really she's a grandmother, right? And I know women don't like to talk about their age, but Julie, here's why I think it's important that, I mean, just look, like, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I look at Jerry, and I've known Jerry for several years now, he looks younger. And when I look at you, you don't look anywhere near your age. And I think that's one of the things. So just briefly talk about, I mean, you're raising two young, as a grandmother, you're raising two young children, and just talk about how that's impacted your life, raising two young children, taking them to events, how I mean, like, I'm looking at Katie's picture with your mom there, and I think sometimes Katie knows more about LifeVantage than some of the distributors do. So maybe just kind of touch on that a little bit real quick.
So Katie is my personal secretary, actually, and so
Right.
she helps me with this business. I think if you can get your kids involved in this, it just can make it a family thing and a lot of fun. So I really try to involve my family and my children. My husband's been a wonderful support. And okay, Michael, you asked me to tell my age, so I'm going to tell my age just to make you happy. So you guys are all privileged to know this inside information because I don't tell it to everyone. But I'm 66 years old. I was 66 in May, and honestly,
Wow.
I do not feel it. Even my joints and everything feel great. I really don't feel my age, and honestly, sometimes I forget how old I am. But yeah, we adopted 6 children, and then we adopted one of our children's children. And so that's Timmy and Katie. They're 11 and 13. So yeah, I'm doing this parent thing a second time around, and doing my best, because children are a gift from the Lord, and they're a blessing. And you can see that these kids really are a blessing. And so
talk about this real quick. Talk about how small of a town you live in. I mean, now this was really funny. I looked at this today, and Julie had 9 people on the Hawaii trip from her team. I completely blown away. I'm like, really? Like, and you're in just real quick, finish with that. Talk about the type of people that people that said no for 2, I mean, in Warm Market, people that said no for 2 and 3 years, and people just kept loving on them and dripping on them, and eventually, just talk about that a little bit.
Right. Yeah. So it is a very small rural town where I live. It's in north central Pennsylvania. I live near the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon, which so it's beautiful country here. It's absolutely gorgeous, but there aren't a lot of people around. We have like about 5,000 people here, and the reason why we have that many is because we have a university here, and that's a large part of the population. And then Kurt Heisey, he and Gary Tucker, who are on my team, they live in Westfield, which is about 40 minutes from here, and that's even more.
Boondocks. Like,
I don't. They call it God's country. I honestly don't know. There's hardly anybody there. But you know what? It doesn't really matter where you live, because we have all of the United States and various other countries that are open, and so we're not limited to our hometown. But yeah, you know, one of the things that, you know, Michael said about, you know, dripping on people, well, that definitely can prove to be advantageous. You know, follow-up is like a huge key in this business. And
Huge. It's
as far
huge.
as I'm concerned, it's really where the work kicks in, because it takes a lot of work to follow up with people. I was just down spending time with my mother for about a week and a half, and I was really focusing on her. And I was like, you know, I'm here to help my mom. I'm not here to do business. However, you know, God opens these doors. Like one day I'm in the hot tub and Katie's swimming, and this lady's in there, and she starts talking about having osteoarthritis. Well, you guys all know we have a study on that. Well, I couldn't not share with her, so she became a customer. And then I'm walking down the hall, and there's these group of ladies and sitting there, and they're like, "Oh, you know, how's your mom doing?" And they're like, "Wow, you have beautiful skin just like your mom." And I'm like, "Well, you know, we have a secret." And so I ended up getting, you know, I got my mom's True Science bottle and let them all try it. So, you know, got another customer there. And then another one of my mom's friends was having these mini strokes. So I talked with her, and, you know, so there's just, I like to do Life Vantage as I'm going through my life, you know, just, you know, if I'm at the grocery store or wherever I am, you know, on the way home from my mom's, Katie and I stopped at this kennel, and you know, I got the contact information for the person who's going to be ordering the supplements for the dogs. And he said, you know, share the information with her, you know, he's interested. So I like to do it just as I'm, you know, going along my day. So we just really need to focus. We need to have that laser focus. We need to make it a priority. Remember, it's not a hobby, you know, it's a business. If, you know, when I think about it, if Jackie had never shared this with me and I had never found out about this, wow. I mean, I just can't tell you how grateful I am that Jackie was faithful to share with me.
Amen.
And so there's people out there that, you know, are going to come in your path that you need to share with, and you're placed there to share with. So we all just need to be faithful, to keep our eyes and ears open, to keep our hearts open, to talk to people, you know, to ask them questions. You know, if you don't talk to people, if you don't relate to people, if you don't ask them questions, you're not going to find out what their needs are. You're not going to be able to help them. So I'm just thankful all the way around. I don't want to take up any more time here.
Good. I'm grateful.
But, you know, it's just a real blessing. And I've met such amazing people like Cheryl Bowman, who's on here as well. And
We're about to talk, so let's get her talking.
All right. Yeah. Let's hear.
Awesome. Julie, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You're an amazing friend and an amazing, I'm going to call you my business partner, because we really are in this together. So
Absolutely. We're in the
say hi to the kids and Jerry, and I'm so grateful for you. But what I wanted to, before I bring Cheryl on, I wanted to kind of talk about this biohacking. I don't know if any of you guys have watched Darren Jensen's speech from convention. If you haven't, watch it. It's on Facebook. It's awesome. He talks about this biohacking, and he talks about these 3 products. Guys, I'm just going to be honest with you. People say they can't afford things. They can. You have to teach them why it's important that they go. You know, I've said this before, and I'm going to keep it real short because we've only got about 5 or 10 minutes left. But this solution of biohacking, all right, this, we already all know about NRF2. NRF1 is unbelievable. It will have the same amount of science that NRF2 has. You know, the results are coming in. It's going to be a trial and error period to find out when you take it and what goes on. It's going to happen. And it's like people who, you know, it's why we need to educate our customers to take Protandim the rest of their life. Don't tell them it's going to help their back or their neck or their diabetes or whatever. Tell them why they need to take it the rest of their life. And, you know, we have 70% retention ratio in my back office of people we sign up because Lisa and I are making a commitment to educate people every week. You heard Julie say it. She signs up people everywhere she goes, you know, and so should you be. You're treating it like a business, but you heard her. She uses three-way phone calls. She uses launch, and she's doing the business. There's a difference between being in the business and doing the business, just like with the probiotic, you know, this BioTrack technology. I mean, you know, I can't remember, and I'm gonna turn you on, Cheryl. Hold on, and I'm gonna unmute your mic and turn you on. Hold on one second. And Cheryl, are you able to turn your camera back on? I'm gonna ask you to start it, and then you can turn it back on. Are you on? There you are. All right. So I can't remember. Maybe you can tell me. Did you start talking about the probiotic and the difference it made in you at one of the meetings I went to, or no? Was it someone else? I can't remember. Did you do that?
No, I didn't do any meetings that you were at.
No, I remember you getting up and talking about. I thought maybe you talked about the probiotic. I couldn't remember if you talked about the effect of it.
Yes, I did talk about it.
You did.
Yes.
You did. I thought that was you.
Because my son had that's what he was sick with, and that was a huge thing with my son.
Yes.
He missed 5.5 months of school in 6th grade and 7th grade.
Yes. Okay. So yeah. So the significance of that is you know, it has to be a spore probiotic. I talked to Cheryl about that. I talked to her about how kids nowadays need to drink more water and eat more food, right? We laughed and talked about that a little bit. Cheryl picked me up when I came. We went to what was the name of that place you took me to? I still can't remember the name of it.
Longwood Gardens.
Huh?
Longwood Gardens.
Longwood Gardens, the largest botanical, what do you say it is? Outdoor garden,
yeah,
outdoor garden, right? Yeah. In the
East
world.
Coast.
Yeah. Place is unbelievable. I mean, it's crazy. Like they just spent $100 million on the water, this water fountain type of thing, right? And so that was awesome. But today, Cheryl and I were talking about, you know, I've been making her come out of her comfort zone and stretching her. Maybe I'm even stretching her right now. I don't know. Am I stretching you right now? A little bit?
Okay now.
Okay. And Cheryl's too. She's a mother. Her husband's worked there at that place for like 20 years. And she's just a leader. We talked about it today. This business stretches you. It makes you focus on personal development. It makes you do things sometimes you don't like to do. And we talked about that. But what Cheryl talked about today was her mom and NRF1. And so why don't you just tell everybody, we'll finish with this. I'll give you the rest of the time. And why don't you just tell everybody what you told me today about your mom and her health, some health issues, and what NRF1 has done.
Well, my mom is 88 years old. And in that video, the primetime video that we have, it says, and if I don't wait until I'm 80 years old to start this. And I tell people, it doesn't matter if you're 80 or 88, you start it. My mom was 86 when I started her. She's been on it for 2 years. And she was on the Protandim. And it did not affect, she has diabetes too. It did not affect her diabetic numbers. In fact, they might actually have gone up a little bit. But she no longer is on any cholesterol medicine, and she was on thyroid medicine for a short time, and they removed that. But back in, it was January of this year, my mother got, her blood levels went low, and she became anemic. And we had to have a blood transfusion done. And I was staying with her in February, and her numbers had come to 13.2, which is low. The normal is 14.2. And I started thinking about, would the mitochondria function have anything to do with this? So I went to pubmed.gov, and sure enough, low mitochondria function affects your iron, which can cause anemia. So I immediately opened my bottle, got it out, had her start taking it then. Now, that was February. Her A1C, if I'm saying that correctly.
You are. Correct. That's correct.
It was at 8.2. And since February, it's dropped to, I got this text yesterday, so I was telling Mike about this. It dropped to 6.4. Between February and now, they had lowered her insulin 3 times. And last night in that same text, I got notification that they eliminated one of her insulin shots altogether. She had to give herself 2 shots every night. So she is ecstatic about this, that one has been eliminated. And they said if her numbers keep going, in 6 weeks, they're going to remove the 2 metformin that she is on also. They just don't want to throw everything on her body at one time. So they're going to be removing that in about 6 weeks if her numbers stay low, which I know they will. So the NRF1 was so, how do I say, so
confusing.
It just seemed like it just activated everything in her body. I mean, she's been doing so much right now. Let me tell you, my mother is the worst eater in the world. I will call her up and she had a bagel at 12 o'clock for lunch and chips and cheese for dinner. And she's diabetic too, but she's 88 and she says, I'm going to eat what I want to eat. So I don't even go there with her. And,
Thank God for Protandim, Cheryl.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And you know, it's kind of funny because I obviously I spent most of my career teaching kids how to do things that their parents tell them to do, that they don't listen to their parents, right? Like they don't listen, right? And so I told Cheryl when I went there, I said, just let me talk to them. I'll talk to them, right? And so I asked her yesterday, I said, how are your kids doing? She goes, and this is always funny. She's like, my son's doing good, but I don't think my daughter's doing so good. She's not listening. So, but it's just funny how sometimes, you know, depending on what if it was, you know, maybe if Lisa was telling your daughter that, she might listen, right? So it's just funny how that concept goes. But I think it's built a little bit of belief in you about how significant all of our products are, you know, how significant NRF1 and NRF2 and a probiotic is, because it's affected your whole family now. I mean, not that, you know, one product is affected. And like Cheryl and I talked about, you know, it would be, obviously we want to make money, but if this just paid to keep our family healthy, it would be 100% worth the effort that we put into it. And her and I talked about that some. So thank you for sharing all that. That's to me, you know, when I was listening to Darren talk about this biohacking thing, and I thought, man, just imagine if we can, you know, like for instance, I'm addicted to Axio, right? Like I told Cheryl, like I'm like this crazy person, you know, like Mark Gordon was saying the other day, he takes like 4 to 6 a day. I was like, yes, that's me. Cause yeah. So like 4 to 6, he said. So I'm like, cool. That makes me feel really good. Cause I think I had like 6 today. So, you know, but it's the funny thing is that I was never like this before. Like I'm like, you know, I took like 30 supplements today, but I never looked how many people looked forward to taking that many supplements a day. Nobody, like you heard it. You heard Julie said, she's like, I didn't look forward to taking all those pills every day. And look at what Jerry said. Jerry was like, yes, now I don't have to take all those pills anymore. Right. And that's something that you and I talked about. So I hope this gave everybody tonight some encouragement to know that, you know, you have to a couple takeaways. You have to treat this like a business, which Cheryl and I talked about. It stretches you. It's a daily grind. You have to get up the next day and go at it a little bit and do something different. And so, you know, I'm really grateful that we as distributors, and Cheryl, thank you for sharing your heart tonight. That was great. We as distributors have to, I got lipstick from my wife on my face. How funny. I just now saw it. But guys, I hope you guys get more people on these calls, because last week we had like 50. And you know me, it doesn't faze me if there's 4 of you. I'm doing this call every week because I know the impact that has happened on the 4 people that are on this call. And so I do. You're right. Wendy just told me I need Jesus, which is kind of an inside thing that Cheryl knows I say that all the time anyway. So, but guys, I hope you guys, some of you are excited. I was talking to people. Some people are leaving today and driving to Denver, and Lisa and I are leaving on Tuesday. We're doing a training on Saturday. I'm going to try to Facebook Live it. I'm teaching a phase 1 training here in Clearwater. If you know people that haven't had phase 1 training, if you're not teaching it, I just told Julie this today, you got to start teaching it. I'm going to encourage you guys. I'm going to congratulate Cheryl, because when she went back home, she took the phase 1 training and sat down. And Cheryl, I don't know, do you still have are you still unmuted? Are you still?
No, I'm not muted.
Okay. You sat down, and how many, you did like 2 or 3 hours with several members on your team and went through, for those that couldn't make it, just give me a 30-second to a minute about that.
We did 4.5 hours.
Okay.
We went over
I lost you.
we did 4.5 hours, and we read over all the papers that you gave us, and we stopped and started the video that you sent us, and we went over each thing, and we talked about it until we figured it out. We got our call numbers, went back over our why. We did all of that stuff, and we are doing it again on the 18th.
And what did you tell me today that you hate doing?
I hate making phone calls. So wasn't you were supposed to?
Okay. Say that a little bit louder so everybody on here knows.
I hate making
Michael
phone
Hinkie, listen to what she's saying. She hates to make phone calls. So guys, sign up to do some launch calls. I was getting, and I'm not doing this just because Julie's on here, but I had some people from her team today call me and say, I'm following up with people. This is exciting. It makes it easier. I'm getting more people to listen to the information. And then you can follow up with them because they know a little bit and you don't have to be the message. Okay. So Julie, Cheryl, thank both of you for being on. Thank all of you for being on. Look, guys, get on your teams tomorrow. And you have to go back. There's been a lot of credit cards go this month in June where people's credit cards are not going through. I found 10 of them that added 10 more people, and it added almost $1,000 in product the other day. So encourage. Go back to your customers and educate them. Lisa and I have an email that I sent to Kurt and some other people about how to go, to go to former customers. I'm telling you what I'm doing tomorrow in between my nooks and crannies is I'm going over and I'm doing 10 at a time so that it's not a mass email, but I'm teaching people and educating former customers and current customers about the loyalty program, about what it means to be on auto ship and how to get free shipping. So hope this encouraged you guys some. I'm always encouraged. I just was encouraged by Cheryl and by Julie. So I'm grateful to be on this call with you guys. I'll see you guys. Now, look, there'll be no call next Thursday, okay? Because we will be at Elite Academy. It will probably be Sunday night. So I will let you guys know as the week goes on. But God bless you guys. Have an amazing, amazing rest of the weekend. All right? And happy 4th of July, everybody.